Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Rabbit Types videos. Today we are looking at Amelia. I actually did like a 10-minute video, and when I finished it up it didn't save and it closed, and I was very bummed. So we're going to do this over again. I'll probably make this a little bit shorter. Sorry, Carrie, but it's a pretty easy answer. Amelia, Carrie was wondering if Amelia was a New Zealand white or a Florida white. And and whether or not there's any lop in it. And first thing I wanted to point out is that Amelia is a red-eyed white, or a roux, which means it's an all-white rabbit with red eyes, which is the distinctive characteristics of both New Zealand whites and Florida whites. So it's easy to get too confused, especially if you're, not overly familiar with the different rabbit breeds. But I've brought up Google Images, and we're going to look at different pictures of some red-eyed white rabbits and see if we can determine what breed Amelia is. So let me flip to another couple of pictures. These are still pictures of Amelia. This is my favorite one, that nice big blockhead. I don't say that as a bad thing. I love it. I think rabbits with these big blocky heads are just gorgeous. There's another one with that nice big blocky head. And there's another one. Now the tricky thing with Amelia is that she's only 6.3 pounds, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through these pictures. But let me go ahead and go over to Google Images, and we have some pictures of some New Zealand whites. This is a very nice, I would say this one's probably a show rabbit, because this is a very nice rabbit here. Here's a very large New Zealand white. Big old ears on this rabbit. There's a couple of them there. Check out the big ears on those guys. There's a couple of pictures that look like they were Amelia's twin. Here's one. See that real blocky head and almost that eyebrow that hangs over? Also look at the way the ears are being held. They're held at a wide stance. They're held in a V, and kind of lopping down a little bit, not able to hold them quite straight. There's one with big old ears. There's another good one. Here's a good one. I think that's the same rabbit as above, but I think that's a great picture. Again, big blocky head, ears kind of just hanging down a little bit. Now they don't all do that. Here's a New Zealand white where the ears are going straight up, but New Zealand's do have very big ears, and they tend to hold them more at a V. As you can see here, there's a V. I don't think that's a purebred New Zealand there, but you can see holding at a V there. That's a really nice example of New Zealand. Again, note the blocky head. Not quite as blocky as this guy, but this is a beautiful. This is Cadbury Bunny right here. He's very, very beautiful. So that's a New Zealand. Now Florida white. There's actually a Florida white that showed up in these pictures from Google Images. This is a Florida white. Now Florida whites, I actually did a little bit of research to make sure I had my information correct. But Florida whites were, the breed originated from a cross between an albino Dutch, Polish, and New Zealand white. So Florida whites do have New Zealand in them. But notice the difference. Where on the New Zealands you have rabbits with big blocky heads and wide set ears, here you've got rabbits with much smaller heads in proportion to their body, and they ended up with the Polish ears in that they're held close together, and I call them scissor ears. I don't know if that's a technical term, but they're held real close together on top of the head like that. Again, compare that to here, where they sit wide and the ears themselves are wider, and they don't exactly necessarily hold on top of the head. Now they can, but these guys are going to sit, when they're sitting naturally, their ears will be straight at the top of their head, and then this much smaller, thinner head. So when you go back to the picture of Amelia, it's pretty easy to see now which breed she most likely is, and that would be the New Zealand white. Her head is way too big. Her ears are way too big to be to have any Polish in her, which is what makes up the Florida white breed. Now, as far as being part lop, this picture here is kind of makes me question. If I just went off of the other pictures, I would say nah, probably not. But this one, just that ear is got a mean lean to it. It could be. I'm 85% sure this rabbit is pure New Zealand white, probably on the small side for the breed at 6.3 pounds. There is the possibility that there is mini lop or Holland lop in there somewhere. But when their ears are this big to begin with and you mix them with a lop, I would expect to see much more of a lop than what I'm seeing here. And I think this is just a rabbit with really big ears that's having a hard time keeping them on top of her head, which can happen. So I would have to say 85% sure this is a pure New Zealand white, 15% chance that there is something else in there making both the size smaller and the ears just a little bit more loosey-goosey. But most likely Amelia is a red-eyed white rabbit of the breed New Zealand white. New Zealand's do come in other colors. They come in black and red, but this is a New Zealand white. And if you would like to have me take a look at pictures of your rabbit, please feel free to send me pictures to the email address at the end of this video. Be sure to include how much your rabbit weighs, how old it is in the time the picture was taken, what country you come from, which is important. Different breeds, different countries have different breeds, and as well as what breed you think the rabbit is, or what breed people have told you the rabbit is. Also, let me know if the rabbit has red eyes, blue eyes, any distinctive markings that I might not be able to see real clearly in the pictures. Sometimes people send pictures of blue-eyed rabbits, but you know, when you take the picture, the pupil dilates, and I just don't see the blue eyes. So be sure to point that out as well when you send your pictures in. And I look forward to seeing your pictures, and we'll see you in the next video.